Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to quickly check out Dead in Vinland. This is a game that you can find on Steam for about $20. There are some DLCs available, 3 of them. There's the Norse Side Stories DLC, which adds a ton of dialogue to the game. There's this Battle of the Hjödnings, if I'm pronouncing that right. It pretty much just adds an endless mode. So rather than play the story, you can play in an endless mode. And lastly, there's the Valhund, which is the ability to get a dog companion, which is fantastic. It's my favorite of the 3 DLCs. Each DLC is $5 unless you find them on a sale. So what is Dead in Vinland all about? Well, I've been playing this off and on for the last, I want to say 3 or 4 years. I enjoy it. My favorite part about this game is that whenever you create a new game, you'll be able to customize your experience how you like. Again, if you have the DLC, you can do the endless mode. This is advanced, not recommended for your first try. I'm going to go ahead and click on story. Now, there are preset difficulty settings. What I like to do, however, is set the custom difficulty. There is a very tiny button that I just clicked on. It's this little, looks like a little, I don't know, slider button. So if I click on that, you have the ability to adjust so many things. This is how games should be. Every time I complain about a game's difficulty, I always refer back to this game. Always. Well, maybe 95% of the time, because sometimes I forget. But the ability to, skill checks, 100% bonus if you want, or map reset delay, or weather probabilities, or tributes difficulty, or food rot chances, disease, wounds healing bonus, resource gains, skill XP bonuses, and so on. There's just so much. So this is how it should be. This is how every game should set their difficulties. That's all I'm saying. So that is the biggest selling point of this game. Now, what is Dead in Vinland? Well, it's essentially skill check the game. That's what this is. It is skill check the game. And some people are going to find this game both fun and frustrating, like I do. You could, like in XCOM, you could have a 95% chance to pass the skill check and then you fail it. That is typical. I'm going to go ahead and pick up where I left off. I'm going to try really hard not to spoil anything of the story. Okay, so the backstory of this game is this. You are this Viking family that crashes on this island. And I'll give you a quick peek of it. But again, I don't want to spoil too much. Let's just say you will be exploring this island, and you'll be meeting characters that you can recruit into your camp. And you'll also be facing some enemies and some other events that you'll have to deal with. So you're going to be exploring this thing. Now, characters and events and different things like that will be in different places when you play your game. Okay. So with that in mind, you're this Viking family, and you're struggling to set up camp. You'll be able to craft various things. I'll take you through this in a minute. But eventually, you come across this Negan character. Negan from The Walking Dead. He demands tribute, and he beats the crap out of you. And he demands tribute from you, and you have to satisfy, every week, 20 logs or 10 stone or so much food, that kind of thing. Otherwise, it's a game-ending condition. He'll beat the tar out of you, and, that's it. So that's the whole story, but there's some other things that go on the island that you'll also have to deal with, and that I don't want to spoil that, because that is like endgame stuff. I have beaten this game before, and I'm currently replaying it. Okay, so let me show you around what you're going to be dealing with on a day-to-day basis. The days are broken up into 2 rounds. There's like morning, and then there's like afternoon/evening. It's you get 2 turns to do things, and these are the screens in which you can do them. Now keep in mind, some of the stuff will not be available to you from the start. You have to craft these stations in order to use them, but eventually you get like a healing tent. There's a rest area where you can sleep, and again, you can assign your Viking families people to the various stations to do things. There's a workshop here, for example. Elric, or whatever his name is, I can choose a crafting plan, and I can come here and, at the cost of resources on the right, I can start crafting it. And you'll find these resources in the environment. You'll be able to, harvest wood at a different station, that kind of thing. So you can craft things there. There's also a forge where you can craft items, some of which can be used directly by your characters to do things. Like, for example, you can craft this steel armor and then apply it to your character, and that gives you +1 damage resistance for 4 to 8 days. And again, keep in mind, you're managing multiple people, so you have to decide who you're going to give these kinds of things to. You can craft healing items that, help your injuries and depression, fatigue, and I'll get into that in a minute. But suffice it to say, you've got all these different stations. You've got water that you have to continuously, assign people to the water tanks here, and they'll gather water, or when it rains, you get that rain water automatically. There's, dryers. There's a cooking station. There's the dog, which I'll get to in a minute. That is another DLC that you'll have to pay for. There's the harvesting camp for fruit, herbalist camp to get like hemp seeds and healing plants. Eventually, you'll be able to get sheep, and you can assign people to this station to get like milk, and you can convert that milk into cheese. You can use wheat and bad water to create feed for your sheep so they don't starve. So there's that. They do breed. There's also gardening, so you can assign people to gardening. You can plant things like hemp, tomatoes or vegetables, and wheat, and you'll be able to use those various things, in your camp. Then on this screen, you've got the ability to hunt for meat. You can fish. You can gather stone or iron. You can gather wood. And then there's a station here for exploration, which again ties back to this map here. So again, you've got 2 turns every day. You assign people where you want them. You click next, and then they do their thing. Now, there is a bunch of numbers behind the scenes. This is where the game gets crazy. So Kari here, for example, she's the daughter of the Viking family. Look at all these different attributes: strength, agility, constitution, stealth. That's under the physical. Note that she's slightly injured, and because of that, that modifies her final number in different ways. Just hovering over strength, look at it. It says strength 12, base is 43, traits -30 from a small wound, states -1 from fatigue and injury. Yeah, I got wounded from a battle, so I'm waiting for her to recover. So her strength is awful right now. But when she gets healed, that strength value goes up. Look, just one tooltip for strength, and if you hover maybe over exploration, look, it's crazy. So if you're one of those attribute people that love numbers and love wondering where things come from, you're gonna love this. Other things to read. There's the bio here, traits. As you play the game, you'll get positive and negative traits. Again, she almost died in a battle, so she's pretty messed up right now, but I'm hoping that will resolve itself over time, which it will. Her skills, and then her fighting ability. In combat, which I don't know if I'll be able to show you this or not in this live session. You've got a melee row and a ranged row, and you're going to be able to, in initiative order, take actions, and you've got action points. Think Darkest Dungeon, but with action points. Instead of just taking one turn. They've got various attributes, different abilities, and you can even recruit new people that you find in the forest or in the island, and they've got different abilities. So you can decide, and you can only have 3 people in combat at a time. So you have to choose which 3 you want to bring into combat. You have to bring the person that's exploring, but you get to pick the other 2. Relationships, people will be happy with each. There's a lot of dialogue in this game, which I'll get to later. But yeah, you'll be able to make friends, enemies, depending on various dialogue choices. So yeah, there's a lot going on this screen. You can again use items. So there are stations that help you reduce depression, but there are also concoctions and items that you can apply to your characters directly to help them. Like I can give her 5 strength, +5 to her strength attribute right now if I give her this gauntlet, if I want. But again, maybe I might want to give it to someone else who I'm trying, she's my main fighter. the mother of the Viking family. She's the tank. So I might want to give her that strength because the father is already completely full. Okay. So yeah, different items you'll be able to equip to them. Okay, so again, what you're going to be doing is assigning people to the different stations. And to do that, there's a little pop out here to the left. You can drag the icons around. I'm going to go ahead and just quickly, I'm not going to craft anything with him yet. I'm just going to come over here. I'll get some wood, which I really don't need, but I'm going to go ahead and do anyway. And actually, you know what? I'm going to have him fish because he's good at fishing. His fishing is 67, whereas hers is 19, so I'll just leave him at fishing. And I'll have her craft some more, I guess, healing related stuff. So let's go ahead and have her go to, there's depression, injury. Yeah, I'll just do that. I'll spend 8 of my healing plants to do that. Okay. And the dog. Let's go ahead and talk about the dog DLC. If you'll get a dialogue option in the very beginning of the game to pretty much take him on. And the way he operates is, he gains energy over time if you give him the rest action. And this will go up. And then you can spend that energy to do various things. You can give battle buffs like attack, guard, and then come. Like there's 3 different like battle buffs. One's for carry specifically, and the rest is for the group. And that lasts for like 4 days. Then you've got like Play With Me, which reduces depression on a character in your camp by like between 6 and 10. Lick the Wounds reduces injury on a character between 5 and 8. But again, these numbers will change, which I'll explain in a bit. Hunting, you get meat, fish, or meals. You can assign the dog various tasks, and he'll spend energy to do it. You can also feed him to get affection, and that is important for the training. Now, my training tree is already maxed out, so I don't have to worry about this anymore. But typically, you start on the bottom, and by feeding him, you raise the affection. Affection does go back down over time, but you raise the affection high enough to then unlock skills from the bottom up. And these skills like energy recovered increased by 10%, or the amount of items brought back with the action get it is increased between 0 and 1, and so on. So you can make the dog's actions better over time. So there's that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just make sure I'm happy with everything. Yeah, everything's good there. Okay, no harvesting possible. Let's have her gather some more hemp, I guess. Okay, let's go ahead and plant something. Let's do wheat and more wheat and hemp. Okay. All right, and over time, that'll automatically just do its thing. You can water it manually, but typically the rain takes care of that. Characters do level up. There's a level up button here, and as they level up, you can choose a new trait. And these are random. You can re-roll these, but you gain minus 20% to XP gains. That's just awful. You might as well just pick something. She does not do battles, so I'm going to pick something that just does things around the camp. Let's see. Agility plus 10, why not? I'll just give her that. That'll help her in her skill checks. She's got 92 now, which is good. Okay, so let's close that off. And then we're going to go ahead and hit next. And from left to right, they are going to do their thing. She's currently doing the healing plants, which, she's done. Nice. She made 4 yarrow powder. She gained a little bit of fatigue. All right, and the dog is resting. Okay, I didn't pick for him. Okay, she's gathering hemp. I'm going to right-click and just fly through this. But you can kind of see what's going on here. He got some fish. She got some iron. She explored. Now, every time you explore, there's a chance that you fight. Chance of encounter right now is 12%. So again, I can't just pick a battle with anything. I have to wait for it to happen. Now, if I don't get to battles in this video, then you can discover them on your own. There's also several videos out there by now. Dead in Vinland's been out for, since 2018, 17, something like that. Okay, so camp condition is another thing you have to worry about. Your stations will suffer damage over time, and you have to spend resources to repair them. And again, that's random. Between 5 and 15% chance every time you click this button. So you could get unlucky and, it doesn't repair a whole lot. Yeah, so there's that, camp condition. Okay, so again, that was like the first action of day 1, and now we're on the second action. So now I can rearrange people if I want to, or I can leave them where they are. I'm going to go ahead and move him back to the crafting station, and I want her to cook. Let's go ahead and bring her here. Her cooking is 76, which is pretty good. Choose recipes, and I'm going to have her make, well, there's about 7 people in camp. Some of that gets bad, so I'm going to do 5 and 5, actually. Or maybe 4 and 5, something like that. I'll leave some in reserve in case I want to dry it on the rack over there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cook some food, and I'm going to have the dog, I don't know, do guard dog. That way, in case we do battle, we've got a battle buff for 4 days. And she's gathering hemp. He's tending to the sheep. She's exploring, even though she's injured. She's mining. Yeah, okay. So I think we have to pick a crafting thing. Let's go ahead and let's do some rope. Yeah, that's going to cost 45 out of our 117 hemp. And we'll hit next. All right, again, we'll just right-click to fast forward through all of this. All right, no battle. Okay. So one thing I should really point out is that you've got a fire, and if you let this run out, it pretty much ends your run unless you find another source of tinder. Tinder is really hard to find in the island, and if you run out, typically you don't have a backup. Always stop this from running out. Always, 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 always. Just don't let it run out. That can end your run real quick unless you've saved it, which the game does save at the beginning of every day, but if you've done a lot during the day by moving people around, you have to redo it. I mean, it's bad. So, I mean, there are ways to get tinder. I think you can trade for it, but that's much later in the game. So that ends the day, and I mean, I can still move people around, but nothing really happens if I do so. It just gives me one last chance to give myself more water if I need it. Like, if I don't think the water I have is enough, I can make some juice from the fruits that I have. I can also convert bad water, the non-potable, into potable water. I could do that, but I'm going to go ahead and end the day. Now, this is the night part of it, and this is where it's super dialogue heavy. This is a lot of reading, and some people are not going to like that. I'm going to go ahead and skip this because I don't want to spoil anything, and I've already seen this. I'll just click that. Okay, so they made friends, whatever. So at the end of the night, you may or may not get some depression. The weather effects also have an effect on everything. So people might get more depressed during, rainy weather, but then again, you get water for free. So it's kind of a mix there. Some people will get dehydrated at night, so you have to give them potable water. I'm going to go ahead and just give 2 to the people that need it. Dehydrated 1, dehydrated 1. If you let that go, it goes to dehydrated 2, then dehydrated 3, and then, well, bad things happen. I'm going to go ahead and just move on. Now you share the food. It looks like they're fairly hungry. I'm going to go ahead and give the best food, the 3-star food, to the hungriest people. 30. Yep, there's that, and then this one. And I think that's good. Now there is food spoilage, so I might actually lose that. There's non-perishable foods that you can make by drying fruit or meat. That's a thing. Okay, so some food has gone rotten during the night. And that is the gameplay flow. That is typically what you're going to be dealing with. And I don't want to drag this video on for too long, but that's it. Now, as far as what I think about this game, the skill checks in this game are fairly nuts. You could have a 95% chance to do something and succeed at it. And then it'll follow up with, oh, now it's a 65% chance. Oh, and then one final check, 23% chance. Did you get that? No. Now you have to start the whole thing over. And because you failed that last part, you take an injury. It's just so... You are at the mercy of RNG in this game. Like, this is so RNG heavy. Again, luckily you can alter that with the custom settings, but you cannot change those settings mid-game, so you may have to, like, restart the game a couple of times until you feel comfortable with the difficulty that you picked. And it's just sometimes you'll get through some crazy dialogue, several checks, and then you fail the last one, you get a really bad injury or take a huge depression hit, and then you have to redo it all. That is so frustrating. It is extremely frustrating. There are also adult themes in this game, swearing, so kids shouldn't play this. There's a lot of unfair things that happen in this game. One of which, and I don't want to spoil the story too much, but there is a character that you can bring into your camp, okay? And he turns out to be really bad. I'm not going to tell you which one it is, but they turn out to be bad. And they murder someone in your camp. And it happens out of nowhere. So, like, if you are not happy with, like, surprises, then you're not going to like this game. I'm just saying. So, there are some, like, game-ending things that could happen to you that will frustrate the living crap out of you. If you're one of those 100% people. If you're happy with, oh, it's just part of the story, it's great, then fine. I'm not one of those people. Okay. The final thing I just want to mention, when you're in battle, which I really can't show you right now, again, there's a melee row and a ranged row. At the beginning of combat, you cannot pick what row they start in. It's random. So your archer could be in the back, it should be in the back, but it gets put up front, and then your melee gets put in the back row, and then the enemy goes first because they've got the higher initiative, and then they slaughter your ranged because your tank is in the back. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Why can't you set your starter row? You know what I mean? I want it so that if I'm about to go into battle, I want to be able to assign what rows they're in before they go into battle. But no, it's random. And it's just, that is frustrating. Really is frustrating. Especially if you got like a high damaged, like, glass cannon who you can lose in the first turn against a really powerful enemy because random chance they put it in the front row and everyone else in the back. That's stupid. So yeah, just there are some things about this game that will frustrate you, but keep in mind that you can customize a lot in the beginning. So I highly recommend that you take the time to customize your settings, and even if it looks like you made the game too easy, you really didn't. I'm telling you, the last check of the game, which I'm not going to tell you what it is, but there's like a positive ending if you go for it. That is hard. The skill checks are insane. So if you think you made the game too easy, you really haven't. I'm just going to say that. So there you go. That was Dead in Vinland. I recommend this game, but I have to caution you that it may be rage-inducing at times. Okay, and it's very dialogue heavy, so if you're not into reading a bunch of dialogue, just skip past it like I do, or just play it for the stats and for 100%ing the game. That's my recommendation. Well, this is Vince. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you all next time. Take care.